The leader of the Roman Empire's secret police, tasked with crushing the Christian rebellion, discovers a shocking truth. He himself is the illegitimate son of a Christian martyr. As he navigates the treacherous world of Roman politics and Christian underground movements, he finds himself torn between loyalty to the empire and the legacy of his mother's faith. This revelation sets him on a collision course with his own destiny, forcing him to confront the brutal reality of his work and the true nature of the empire he serves. They say Rome feared no enemy. But tonight even Rome is afraid of a name whispered in the dark. You stand in the empire's most secret chamber. No banners. No marble. Just stone, torches, and the sound of water dripping through iron. You are Cassian, commander of the Frumentarii, Rome's hidden police. Your task is simple: destroy the Christian sect poisoning the empire's peace. But this prisoner, this old man in chains, he looks at you as if he already knows you. Tell me their leaders, you demand. He smiles. I'll tell you something better. I'll tell you who you are. You pause. Who I am. The man's wrists shake as he lifts them. The chains ring softly like distant bells. You haunt us, Tribune. But your blood belongs to us. The guards glance at each other, unsure if they should laugh. You don't. What did you say? The man whispers a single name. Lucia Vero. The torches flicker, and the world stops. Your mother's name. A name Rome erased from every record. You step forward. Where did you hear that? She was one of us, the prisoner says. A woman who would not call Caesar Lord. They broke her body but not her faith. You carry her eyes, Cassian. You carry her silence. You strike the table, but your voice trembles when you speak. You lie. She died of fever. She was innocent. He nods. She was innocent. That's why they killed her. The words cut through the smoke like a blade. You turn away, trying to silence the storm in your chest. You've executed hundreds. You've seen men burn for lesser heresies. But this feels different. The man's voice follows you like a curse. She prayed for you, Tribune. The night before they raised her cross. She said, "May his sword one day serve truth, not power." The chains rattle as the guards drag him out. The door slams. Silence. You're alone. And for the first time in your life, Rome feels smaller than one name. Lucia. You whisper it once, and something ancient stirs in you. A memory of light, of warmth, of lullabies carried through smoke. Outside, the crowd cheers for another execution. Inside, you feel the empire shift, as if its marble skin just cracked. You look down at the table. The prisoner's blood, spilled by his chains, has formed a shape, 2 lines crossing. A symbol you were trained to hate. But now, you can't look away. If stories like this grip you, if you believe history still has secrets worth uncovering, hit subscribe. Because this isn't just about Rome. It's about what power does to truth. Rome does not sleep. Even at midnight, the city breathes like a living beast, smoke rising from its nostrils, guards moving through its veins. And in that darkness, you are its eyes. You are Cassian, Tribune of the Frumentarii, the invisible legion Rome uses to watch its own people. To most citizens, the Frumentarii are harmless couriers, men who carry the grain reports from province to province. But that's a lie. Behind every message is a file. Behind every file, a face. The empire doesn't just rule bodies, it colonizes thoughts. You walk the marble corridors of the Palatine Palace. Senators pass by with forced smiles, each one wondering if your presence means they're next. They pretend to ignore the seal on your scrolls, the bronze crest of the Frumentarii, stamped with an eye encircled by laurel. That eye is everywhere. In the bathhouses, in the temples, even in the whispers of the marketplace. A woman selling olives pauses mid-sentence when she sees one of your agents. A poet lowers his voice when reciting verses that sound too honest. Children grow up knowing what not to say. Rome calls it order. You call it silence. There is a saying among your men. Every shadow serves the emperor. You built that saying yourself, once a symbol of loyalty, now an echo that haunts you. You remember the training. How recruits were taught to break trust like bone. To smile while listening, to comfort while recording, to punish without question. Every letter that crossed your desk could destroy a family. One wrong word, one unguarded prayer, and a name disappears from the census, wiped from existence. Rome does not bury its enemies. It erases them. But now, since that night, since the interrogation, the system you built feels different. You begin to see it. Not as a machine of order, but as a beast feeding on fear. You pass through the central office, tablets of wax stacked like coffins. Agents scrawl reports. Citizen accused of illegal meetings. Suspected worship of the Anointed One. Slave singing forbidden hymns near the Tiber. Each report ends the same: recommended interrogation. The handwriting changes, the cruelty doesn't. You pause at one report, the name unreadable, the charge predictable, and feel something twist inside you. Every accusation could be your mother's. Later that night, you ride through the streets of Rome. The city glows red from torchlight and wine. You hear laughter spilling from taverns, see lovers beneath balconies, senators carried in litters through narrow lanes. Rome looks alive, but now you know it's breathing lies. Every cheerful voice hides fear. Every statue of Caesar casts a shadow shaped like control. You wonder how many of these people know they're being watched. You wonder how long a civilization can survive on fear before it collapses under its own perfection. At the barracks gate, one of your officers stops you. He salutes. Tribune, the prefect requests a report on the Christian movement. He says their gatherings grow bolder. They sing even during curfew. You nod. Let them sing. We'll hear them better that way. He smiles, thinking it's a jest. But you mean it? For the first time in years, you realize you don't want the noise to stop. You want to hear the truth in their voices, the truth your empire silences. You return to your quarters. The candle burns low. You unseal a locked chest and remove an old tablet, one of your first missions. The order reads: locate and eliminate Lucia Vero. Crimes: atheism, sedition, refusal to offer sacrifice. You stare at the lines until they blur. Your mother's execution, ordered by the same department you now command. You were trained to be Rome's eyes. But now those eyes see too much. Voice drops lower, cinematic slow build. If power had a face, it would look like Rome, beautiful, disciplined, and hollow. If fear had a voice, it would whisper in Latin. And if truth still dares to breathe anywhere, it hides in the catacombs below your feet, waiting for the day someone with your eyes will finally open them. What would you have done in his place? Serve the machine that feeds you, or the truth that could destroy you? Let me know in the comments. Rome's archives are a graveyard made of wax and stone. You walk through them by torchlight, the smoke curling like ghosts through the air. Every wall breathes secrets, accusations, confessions, names. Names of those who lived and names of those Rome decided should not. You are Cassian Vero, and you are looking for one name in particular. Your mother's. The guard at the record hall watches nervously as you enter. Tribune, he stammers, those files are sealed by imperial decree. You raise your ring, the signet of the Frumentarii. The emperor sealed them, you say, and the emperor gave me eyes to open them. He hesitates, then bows and leaves. The door shuts. The silence returns. You move between shelves stacked with tablets, scrolls, and wax-coated reports. Each one carries a date: the year of peace, the year of betrayal, the year of another lie. You reach the section marked Executions, Forum East Gate, 163 CE. The same year the old prisoner spoke of. You pull a scroll and unroll it slowly. Lucia Vero, citizen of Rome. Accused of treason, impiety, and refusal to sacrifice to the divine image of Caesar. The report lists her possessions: a ring, a wooden cross, a child's bracelet. Then, sentence carried out by crucifixion. Body denied burial. You read it again. The words are precise, bureaucratic, cold. No mention of why. No record of her defense. Just silence. You know this silence. You helped create it. You search for more. Another scroll, a report from a centurion. It's short, almost reluctant. The woman refused to curse her God, even as the whip tore her flesh. She spoke not of rebellion but of mercy. When asked if she feared death, she smiled and said, "I fear nothing that ends in truth." The handwriting trembles at the edges, as if the writer himself was shaken. You feel your breath catch. This isn't the voice of a zealot. It's the voice of someone who knew. Someone who believed that even death could be conquered by conviction. You find more, intercepted letters from other Christians smuggled between prisoners. One reads, Lucia Vero sang as they raised the cross. The guards fell silent. Even the crowd grew still. She said, "You may bind the body but not the truth it carries." You feel the words burn in your chest. You picture it, the crowd, the jeering voices, the whip, and her face calm beneath the storm. A mother you barely remember, now rising from the dust as a symbol Rome tried to bury. You take the scrolls and return to your chamber. You lock the door. The flame of your lamp flickers as you lay them out before you. Each document is another wound in the lie you once called peace. Every line written by men like you, men who believed loyalty made them righteous. You were raised to serve the empire. Now you realize you've been serving the machine that killed your mother. You pour wine into a cup and stare into it like a mirror. Your reflection wavers, split between two worlds. The soldier and the sun. The hunter and the hunted. You whisper, "Why didn't you tell me?" But the room answers only with silence. Then something strange happens. A drop of wax from the candle lands on one of the scrolls, right on your mother's name. The heat melts through the ink, leaving a crimson stain that spreads like blood. For a moment it looks alive. And then it hits you, the martyr's blood. Not just her death. Her legacy. Her defiance. She wasn't erased. She was planted. And you are what grew. You stand, heart pounding, the air electric with realization. If her death was a lie, how many others? If Rome's peace was built on silence, what happens when the silence breaks? You think of the prisoner, the one who spoke her name. You realize now that he didn't come to save himself. He came to save you. You pull on your cloak and step into the street. The city is asleep, or pretending to be. Somewhere beneath the stones, the Christians hide, whispering the same name you were taught to fear. For the first time you want to hear it. Not as an officer. Not as a Roman. But as her son. The wind moves through the alleys like a voice. It carries the faint sound of singing, low, soft, unafraid. You follow it through the darkness until you reach a narrow stairway carved into the earth. The entrance to the catacombs. The same place your men raid every month. The same place your mother once prayed before she died. You stand at the threshold. Your sword feels heavier than ever. Behind you lies the empire. Ahead of you, the truth. You take a breath. And step into the dark. If you were Cassian, if you discovered your entire life was built on the blood of the innocent, would you still obey Rome? Or would you risk everything for truth? Tell me below. Your voice matters here. Rome sleeps. But beneath its streets, something breathes. You move through the darkness with only the flicker of a hidden torch. Every step echoes like a heartbeat through the stone. This is where the Christians hide, in the old catacombs carved from volcanic rock. The same tunnels where your mother once prayed. The same tunnels your men raid and burn. Tonight you walk among them. Not as a hunter, but as a ghost chasing the truth. The air smells of earth and smoke. Faint voices drift from deeper in the tunnels. A hum, a whisper, then a word that sounds like music. You follow the sound. The walls close in, marked with symbols scratched in haste. A fish, a cross, a name. You touch one of them and for the first time in years, you feel something that isn't fear. You reach a narrow chamber lit by oil lamps. And there they are. Men and women. Slaves and merchants. Children with tired faces but eyes that shine. They kneel in a circle, hands joined, whispering words you can barely hear. You expect fanaticism. You find peace. Their leader, an older man with calloused hands and a scar on his cheek, reads from a small parchment. Love your enemies. Bless those who curse you. Do good to those who hate you. The words fall like rain on dry ground. You feel the old armor of your mind resist. These are the people you've hunted. The ones your reports call enemies of the state. But there's no rage here. No talk of revolt. Only forgiveness. A woman stands and begins to sing. Her voice is soft, almost trembling, yet it fills the chamber with light. We are not afraid, for truth does not die. It's the same line your mother spoke before her death. You remember reading it in the archives. Now hearing it aloud, it feels less like defiance, and more like prophecy. You feel your throat tighten. The leader notices you standing in the shadows. He doesn't shout. He doesn't run. "Brother," he says quietly, "come closer. You've come far enough to be seen." Your hand instinctively reaches for your dagger, the symbol of who you are. Then you realize, no one else here is armed. You step forward. The circle parts slightly. No fear in their eyes, only a strange recognition, as if they already know what brought you. You say, "Do you know who I am?" The man nods. "Yes, we do." "Then why don't you run?" He smiles. "Because truth doesn't run. It waits." You feel something break open inside your chest, a quiet, unbearable light. They offer you bread. You hesitate, then accept it. The taste is simple, coarse, dry, yet it feels sacred. You sit among them as they speak. One man talks about losing his brother in the arena. A woman about being freed by the master who once owned her. A child recites verses about light conquering darkness. No one complains. No one curses Rome. They speak of love even for the men who burned their homes. And you, the man who hunted them, are listening. When the prayers end, the leader looks at you again. "Tell me, Tribune," he says softly, "what is Rome so afraid of?" You start to answer, "Power, rebellion, corruption." But the words die on your tongue. You know the real answer now. Rome is afraid of what it cannot control. Rome is afraid of men and women who will die for love rather than kill for loyalty. Rome is afraid of faith that makes fear irrelevant. You lower your head. The man places his hand on your shoulder. The empire may command your sword, he says, but your soul still chooses who it serves. Hours pass. The lamps burn low. You leave before dawn, your cloak heavy with dust and revelation. As you rise through the tunnels, you notice the faint graffiti etched into the wall, a line written in Latin. Veritas vincit. Truth conquers. You stop and run your fingers over the letters. Your mother might have written them. Or perhaps someone she inspired. You realize then, her faith didn't die with her body. It moved underground like a river, carving its way through stone until even you could not escape its pull. When you reach the surface, the city is waking. Smoke from bakeries curls into the pale light. A legion marches in formation toward the forum, shields gleaming. The same city you've always known, but now it feels smaller. You used to believe Rome's power was eternal. Now you understand the truth. Empires are built to be feared. Faith is built to endure. You whisper your mother's name. It no longer feels like mourning. It feels like resurrection. If this story reached you, if you've ever questioned what power means and what truth costs, leave a comment. Because this story isn't just about Rome. It's about every time fear tried to silence love, and failed. The summons comes at dawn. You stand in the marble silence of the imperial court, the air heavy with incense and expectation. Torches flicker against golden walls where Rome's victories are painted in endless procession. Battles, captives, trophies. And now your name is being added to that parade of obedience. Cassian, says the emperor's voice, calm as iron. You will lead the purging of the Christians at Ostia. Burn their writings. Crush their gatherings. Leave none to rise again. The words fall like stones into your chest. The blood edict. A command not of strategy, but of cruelty. A theater of death, meant to remind Rome that mercy is treason. You bow. Because that's what duty requires. But somewhere in your mind, a door you thought was sealed begins to tremble. As you leave the chamber, the emperor's gaze follows you, sharp, unreadable. He knows your mother's name. He knows what was whispered in those catacombs. This isn't just an order. It's a test. A test to see whether the empire still owns you. The march to Ostia feels endless. Your soldiers laugh and boast beside the wagons, unaware of the ghosts that walk with you. Each mile brings back the faces from the catacombs. The woman who sang, the man with the scar, the child who smiled at you. They are the ones you're ordered to destroy. They are the ones who taught you peace. When the wind shifts, you imagine hearing that same soft hymn again. We are not afraid, for truth does not die. And for the first time in your life, you understand what fear truly is. Not dying, but killing what's right inside you. At sunset you reach Ostia. The harbor burns gold under the dying light, ships rocking gently like the city is breathing. Your officers await your command. They speak of rounding up the suspects, torching the meeting houses, making an example. You nod mechanically, your voice hollow. Tomorrow at first light. They salute and disperse. You're left alone with the silence, the kind that doesn't comfort but condemns. That night you can't sleep. The tent feels smaller with every breath. You pour wine but it tastes like ash. You unroll the edict again and read the emperor's seal, the eagle crushing the serpent beneath its claws. But in the flicker of the lamp, you see another image. A woman bound to a post, eyes lifted to the sky. Your mother. Her last words echo through the years like a whisper from the grave. The empire cannot command the soul. Your hands tremble. You step outside. The night air is cold, the campfire embers fading to dust. A sentry greets you, unaware of the storm inside your chest. Beyond the tents you see them, prisoners huddled together under guard. Men, women, even a child clutching a wooden cross. Their faces calm. Almost peaceful. You wonder, what kind of strength looks like surrender? You draw closer and one of the prisoners looks up. He recognizes you. And instead of hatred he whispers, "May the peace of the Lord find you, Tribune." It's not defiance. It's forgiveness. And that breaks you more than any blade ever could. You turn away before the guards notice you're trembling. You know what the dawn will bring, the executions, the flames, the screams. You know that by sunrise the blood edict will be fulfilled in your name. Unless you choose otherwise. The thought burns hotter than the torches around you. Defy the emperor and your life is forfeit. Obey him and your soul is lost. There is no command that can make that choice for you. You return to your tent, staring at the edict one last time. Your hand hesitates over the wax seal, Then slowly you drop it into the flame. The parchment curls, blackens and disappears. You whisper to the ashes, "Let Rome fear what it cannot kill." The night wind carries the smoke into the dark, a silent rebellion born from love, not hatred. If you were Cassian, standing between duty and conscience, what would you choose? Comment below. Because sometimes history's greatest battles are the ones fought inside us. Dawn comes. The soldiers gather, waiting for your signal. You stand before them, cloak billowing, heart steady. The sun rises, and for the first time in your life, you don't feel owned by the empire. You feel free. You say nothing. You simply turn your horse toward the horizon, away from the city, away from the fire. Behind you, the legions hesitate, torn between command and conscience. Before you, the road stretches into light. Rome's power may still rule the world, but not your soul. The prison smells of smoke and iron. Chains rattle in the dark. The condemned whisper prayers through bloodied lips. You stand at the edge of the torchlight, your cloak heavy with silence. This is the place where Rome breaks the will of men, the same place you've sent hundreds before. And tonight, you've come to unmake what you helped build. The guards outside the cells bow as you pass. You nod, pretending to inspect the prisoners. Your hand brushes the keys at your belt. The sound is small, but in your chest it feels like thunder. You stop before the cell of the child you saw at Ostia, the one with the wooden cross. His eyes meet yours. No fear. Only quiet faith. You unlock the door. Then another. And another. Dozens of Christians look up, stunned. You whisper, "Go," before the shift changes. They hesitate. "You'll be killed," one murmurs. "Then let me die for something Rome can't own." The words don't feel rehearsed, they feel like confession. They move quietly, disappearing into the night one by one, shadows slipping through Rome's walls. Each one that escapes feels like a breath you've held for years, finally released. When the last prisoner vanishes into the darkness, you stand alone in the corridor. You should feel afraid. Instead you feel clean. For the first time, your conscience is louder than the empire. But freedom always leaves witnesses. A voice echoes behind you. "Cassian." You turn. It's Marcus, your second in command, the man who's served beside you for years. The one who's read every lie in your reports and trusted them anyway. He looks at the open cells, the missing prisoners, the keys in your hand. The truth hangs between you like a blade. "You," he whispers. "After everything we've done?" You take a step closer. "It's over, Marcus. Let them go. No one needs to die tonight." But Marcus isn't listening to mercy. He's listening to fear, the same fear that keeps Rome alive. "Do you know what they'll do to us?" he says. "They'll skin us alive. They'll crucify our families. Then let them," you say quietly. "I'm done killing for ghosts in marble." He stares at you like he's seeing a stranger. Then he raises the alarm. The fortress erupts. Horns blare. Torches ignite. Boots pound the stone like thunder. You draw your sword, not to kill but to survive long enough for the others to flee. The first guard lunges. You parry, twist, strike, not fatal. You don't want more blood. But they keep coming. By the time they drag you down, the prisoners are gone. The city's darkness swallows them whole. You wake in chains. The chamber reeks of vinegar and rust. Your back is raw, lashes counting the cost of your choice. Your face is swollen. But your eyes are steady. Marcus stands in the doorway, his expression torn between pity and duty. "I begged for your life," he says. "The emperor wants a public execution. They'll make an example of you, the traitor who freed the enemy." You laugh though it hurts. Then Rome finally tells the truth. He looks away. "I don't understand you." "You don't have to," you whisper. "Just, don't become me." He leaves without answering. The door slams. Days blur into nights. Pain becomes rhythm. Every strike, every question, every demand for confession only deepens the silence inside you. Because there's nothing left to confess. You already told the truth, with your actions. One guard, perhaps moved by pity, leaves a scrap of bread near your hand. On it, carved with a nail, are two words. Veritas vincit. Truth conquers. You close your eyes. And despite everything, the bruises, the betrayal, the chains, you smile. Because the message has already escaped these walls. When they drag you into the light for sentencing, the crowd roars. Traitor. Blasphemer. Enemy of Rome. But you hear something else beneath the noise, the faint hum of a familiar song. The hymn from the catacombs. You scan the faces and see them, hidden among the crowd, the freed ones. Alive. Watching. Remembering. And in that moment you realize, they can kill your body. But your choice will outlive them all. Would you risk everything for what you believe is right, even if no one ever knows your name? Comment, truth conquers if you believe some choices are worth the cost. As the guards drag you away, you whisper one last line to the wind. Rome can command my death, but not my purpose. And the wind, moving through the colonnades, carries your words further than any empire ever could. The morning of your execution dawns quiet, too quiet for Rome. Usually the forum buzzes before a spectacle. Vendors shouting. Children climbing columns to see the condemned. But today the air feels heavy, as if the city itself knows it's about to witness something sacred. You walk barefoot across the stone courtyard, chains biting into your wrists. The scent of iron and incense mingles in the air, the perfume of empire and death. Ahead the cross waits. You remember another courtyard. Another execution. Your mother standing where you now stand, her face serene even as the crowd screamed for blood. And you realize, Rome has run out of new ways to kill faith. The praetorian who escorts you mutters, "You should have stayed loyal, Cassian." You smile faintly. "I was loyal. Just not to Rome." He looks at you, confused, maybe even afraid, and looks away. The platform rises above the forum. Thousands watch as you're bound to the post. The sun burns red behind the spires, as if the gods themselves are holding their breath. The herald reads your crimes. Treason. Collusion with enemies of the state. Subversion of the emperor's will. But as he reads, you barely hear him. Your eyes are fixed on the horizon, where the sea meets the sky in endless calm. For the first time you feel peace. The whip cracks. The crowd flinches. Blood blooms across your back like crimson cloth. But pain, you realize, isn't the enemy. Fear is. And fear died the night you freed the innocent. Among the crowd you see them, the ones you helped escape. Hidden faces, heads bowed. Some weeping. Some praying. All silent. Their presence fills you with warmth, stronger than the pain, deeper than the shame. Because now you understand what your mother meant when she said, "The empire cannot command the soul." You whisper her words not for the crowd but for the wind. The centurion steps forward, holding the spear that will end your suffering. He hesitates. He's young, younger than you were when you first took an oath to Rome. You meet his eyes. And you forgive him before he moves. "Do what you must," you say softly. "There's no hate left to kill." His hand trembles. Then he thrusts. The world narrows to light. Silence. Then, the sound of sandals shuffling away, murmurs fading. The empire moves on as it always does, believing it has silenced another voice. But Rome never understood how truth works. It doesn't die. It seeds itself. Years pass. The emperor who condemned you is gone, murdered by his own guards. The statues crumble. The gold fades. But in the catacombs beneath the new city, the faithful still whisper your name. Not as a soldier. Not as a traitor. But as a man who chose conscience over command. They tell your story beside your mother's, two souls bound by blood, divided by empire, united by truth. Generations later, when Rome finally kneels before the cross it once feared, no one remembers the heralds or the torturers, or the governors who signed your death. But they remember Cassian, the tribune who traded a sword for mercy. The man who forgave before he died. And if you listen closely, even now, on quiet nights when the wind moves through broken marble, you can almost hear it. The faint echo of that hymn from the catacombs. We are not afraid, for truth does not die. Because it never did. It just waited for Rome to remember. Cassian never lived in our history books. But he lives in every act of courage that chooses mercy over might. If his story moved you, share it. Not for views. Not for fame. But so that his light, and yours, can keep burning in a world that still forgets what truth costs.